Hey there, and welcome back to Don't Open That Door. Come along with our triumvirate of terror as we descend into darkness, hurtle into horror, and plunge into peril. If a spider demon has ever stolen your bodily fluids, you're in the right place. I'm Justin, and I've got a really strange urge to buy some soap.
I'm Nico, the half-demon messiah.
Well, I'm Dan, and I got nothing for this one. This movie was just too wild.
And we're here today to review Wicked City, the anime from 1987, and not the live action. That's right, there is a live action.
Oh god, there's a live action?
Oh no.
And before we get too deep into this, I do want to say a quick little trigger warning out there. So this movie does have a ton of depictions of sexual assault. So if that's not something you're comfortable with, you'll probably want to steer away from watching the movie. We're not going to really go into detail about that here on the podcast, but just if you are interested in the movie, if that disturbs you in any way, stay clear because there's a lot.
Boy howdy.
So this one was directed by Yoshiaki Kawajiri, starring Gregory Snegoff as Taki, Gay Kruger as Makie, Mike Reynolds as Giuseppe Maillart, Jeff Winkless as Mr. Shadow, and Edie Merman as the spider demon woman thing. And I will say real quick, that was the voice acting cast for the English version that we watched. So obviously different people did it in a different language, and British, which is a different language too. So we open with Taki Renzaburo, an amorous salaryman who links up with a woman at a bar. Things go well, and they end up having sex. But the woman turns out to be a spider demon and escapes. Don't you just hate it when that happens?
In fact, you count the number of times that's happened to me.
Exactly. Taki takes it pretty well, though, after taking it pretty well, because as it turns out, being a salaryman is just a cover for his real job. You see, Taki is a member of the Black Guard. No, not what you probably think. A group dedicated to protecting the peace between the human world and the demon world, otherwise known as the Black World. No comment. Most humans aren't even aware of the existence of the demon world, but the peace treaty between the two worlds is going to expire soon, and if it does, all hell will break loose. For more on that, Nico, enlighten us.
So the next day at work, Taki's boss gives him some shit for the night before, but tells him that he has a very important job for the upcoming negotiations for a new peace treaty. There's a VIP named Giuseppe Maillart, and his presence is critical for the upcoming negotiations. In the demon world, there's a group known as the Radicals, and they wish for conflict and just generally bad shit to happen to the humans. They want to kill Giuseppe, and Taki is supposed to protect him, alongside a member of the Black Guard from the demon world as his new partner.
Dan, what happens? I want to know.
So at the local airport, Taki meets up with his counterpart, Makie, who turns out to be a beautiful woman. They kill some demons and meet up with Giuseppe, taking him to a safe house, or in this case a safe hotel, for the night. As it turns out, Giuseppe is a total perv and would rather hit on Makie or visit a brothel instead of focusing on his official duties. Despite its supposed spiritual defenses, the safe house is breached.
Yo, them shits fell quick.
Yeah, it did. It wasn't even a problem for them.
At all.
But Taki and Makie end up fighting a demon. They manage to defeat it, but find that Giuseppe has escaped.
Well, I wouldn't know anything about this, but he is as perverted as he is predictable. So Giuseppe's actually gone to visit a local soapland. And for those of you who don't know, it's a place where you can get naked and have a naked woman rub on you with some soap. Better or worse than you might think. Depends on how you think. As it turns out, though, this woman is a demon. So right in line with my projections. And she injects Giuseppe with a parasite and begins to absorb him into her body. Wait. Which there's a lot of in this movie, actually.
There is a surprising amount.
Taki and Makie bust into the room just in time, though, and manage to rescue Giuseppe. Unfortunately, Giuseppe's now in critical condition, and the Blackguards have to drive him to a Blackguard hospital when they are attacked. By who, Nico?
Well, as it turns out, Taki and Makie begin to fight off their assailants, but then the parasite in Giuseppe emerges and attacks Makie. Makie tells Taki to flee as their priority is to protect Giuseppe, and he does so reluctantly as a bolt of lightning hits the parasite. After arriving at the Blackguard hospital then, Taki gets a I almost said massage. Taki gets a message that Makie is being held hostage by the radicals. He then goes to rescue her, knowing that it will likely cost him his job. He's a real one. Taki arrives at the abandoned area where the radicals are holding Makie, and a vagina demon hypnotizes him and begins to question him.
Happens to us all, brother.
Specifically about whether he'd ever had sex with Makie or what his future plans are. Taki comes to his senses.
No.
Blast.
Why?
It was in caps, bro. I had to.
No, I didn't say all that.
Taki comes to his senses, blasts the vagina demon with his pistol, kills the remaining members of the radicals, or so he thinks, and rescues Makie. The pair head back to the hospital, and I have to emphasize this, he doesn't actually come.
Not yet. You see, Giuseppe and Taki's boss are waiting for the pair of them when they get back. And naturally, they get chewed out and thrown off the case. Taki and Makie then drive away, but after a bit, they find that Giuseppe's actually snuck into their car and has been in the back seat for a while now. Giuseppe's pretty carefree, saying that if they hang out with him until the peace conference, he'll take responsibility for everything, and Taki can get his job back. But just then, the trio are attacked by the spider demon from earlier, and Taki and Makie are defeated. But a mysterious bolt of lightning hits the spider demon and kills her. A lot's happening. Dan, we gotta resolve this shit. How's this all go?
Taki and Makie awaken in a church. The pair are in a dreamlike state, and they end up having sex. Just then, Giuseppe shows up as another demon from the radicals attacks. Giuseppe reveals that they weren't actually protecting him, rather he was protecting them. And we see that he is the wielder of the lightning. Giuseppe says that Taki and Makie are genetically unique, and the pair of them could have a child together, which would be a big step forward for human-demon unity. Somehow, Makie actually got pregnant from the sex she had with Taki about 5 minutes earlier. And together the trio defeat the demon and head to the peace conference. The movie ends with Taki still a member of the Blackguard and wondering what role his child will play in the future. And they also open up a shop together called Maki's Takis. That doesn't actually happen, but yeah, the end.
It's nice to think. I want to include the part that we forgot where Giuseppe, quote, reformed them out of psychic energy like Frankenstein.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Because, of course, he did.
I didn't think it was that serious. They looked okay. Like, they just looked like they got mashed up a little.
They got completely defeated, and then Giuseppe fucking big-brained them back to life.
Literally. So, Nico, you seem to be expounding on many things here. Why don't you tell me how this movie looks?
Oh, man. It's a lot. But at the same time, I will appreciate this for the artistic merits that it does genuinely have. The animation is really nice, if definitely dated for the time period. The character stylings are all really similar to a lot of the things that it is contemporary with. And that accounts to a lot of like really angular designs with the characters' sort of like appearances with their eyes in particular, and a lot of just like really exaggerated sort of like flashy movements in the combat and stuff. So even though it is pretty old, I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I would say this. I probably like it a little more than Nico. And late 80s anime, you can just inject it into my veins. I'll be all right. Like, I love this art style, straight up. I especially think that I'm a big fan of the just demon designs.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it again, but like the whole vagina demon thing was so off-putting, but at the same time so surreal you like couldn't look away type shit. So I was definitely into that. The Spider Woman demon, you know, she shot webs from where you think she probably shot webs from. And let me just say, man, class cinema right there. Dan, how about you?
Yeah, this is one of those anime where you just kind of watch and just let shit happen, and you're like, wow, that's happening. All right, cool.
It gets going quick too.
Yeah, like right off the bat, like I don't know, not even 5 minutes in. So it's a ride. Like Nico said, the artwork is very akin to its contemporaries, which I'm sure we will talk about in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoyed the animation. I I don't want to say the 80s anime is my favorite style, but I do enjoy it.
Now, sound design, Nico, how's the sound design in this one? And this is also where we'll talk about the voice acting.
The sound design is good. I like all of the Foley and stuff that they've got going on there, but I'm just gonna jump right to it. I think the voice acting's fucking atrocious. For the American cast, again, this is the American cast, haven't seen any other versions, but you could put these voice actors. In fact, I would be willing to bet money that their voices appear on some of the top 50 worst video game or anime line compilations on YouTube. I would be willing to bet a lot of money that their work is just absolutely filling those lists, because you could have put their voices in any other show from the time regardless of setting, and it would have fit, because part of the 80s style is getting somewhat, I think, either lifeless performances or just way over the top, and this was definitely sliding more towards the former than the latter.
See, we're about to illustrate the duality of man here, because I actually, first off, I agree with Nico that I like the general sound design of the whole thing. Things that make real squishy noises, yeah, they do. And everything sounds good on that department. And in terms of the voice acting, I'll say this, particularly around that time, you had to be there. And I wasn't there. I'm a little bit too young for that, but I watched a lot of that stuff. That was my anime education, that kind of stuff. And voice acting during that time period was still fairly new when it came to anime in America.
Certainly.
And the standards were not where they are today. I think everyone can agree on that. Now, the interesting thing that emerged from that was there's a lot of really classic dubbing that happened at that point in time that, even if it's not the greatest acting on the planet, there's a ton of nostalgia for it. And for me personally, I have a ton of nostalgia for the style of voice acting that's on display here. I love how American Tokyo is because of these voice actors.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my take. Dan, how are you?
I'm similar to you, Justin. I actually don't mind the voice acting. I think it's okay. It's par for the course for the era. It's definitely not great. It is a little lifeless, I'll give you that, but I didn't mind it too much. I expected as much. The one thing that I am mad about in the sound design or voice acting, or both, I guess, is there's a scene, right? So there's plenty of scenes in this film where I had to turn the volume down because things are happening. And one of them I was pretty mad about because Taki goes to the demon world to rescue Makie. And there's this whole fight scene and all this important shit going on for 10 minutes or something, while there's sex going on in the background. So there's badass fight and sex sounds. And I'm like, why is this I can't turn the volume up, but I'm like, fuck. That was annoying.
True. I don't know if he actually went to the demon realm or if he just went to some random spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something else I'll say really quickly about the sound, I guess, is that at least in Tubi, where I have a feeling the rest of the co-host here watched it, there are no subtitles, and that definitely impacts, I it would have helped Dan out, I feel like.
Definitely. And I it's also on Amazon, and I checked Amazon. I'm pretty sure there wasn't subtitles on there either. So I just don't know if nobody just feels like subtitling all the typing sex noises over and over and over or something.
Which is understandable.
But, yeah.
Yeah. Subtitles might be really good on some of those scenes. I do think about that. And I will say this takes us perfectly into the next part. Is this, by chance, the most sex-filled movie we've seen on the podcast?
Yes.
No.
I think it is.
No.
I think Baba Yaga just edges it out.
Wow.
Why? Because it's real people's?
Because it's real people, yeah.
I guess.
And I think probably more frequent. I might be wrong there.
I don't know about that one.
I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure about half of this movie legitimately are sex scenes.
Yeah, okay.
Life Force, maybe?
Oh, fuck that movie.
Could fight with it, but I'm pretty sure this one takes the cake.
Life Force, dare we forget? Smack! You've hit her, man. Look at her. She's into it. If you can't stand it, leave. No, I'm a voyeur. I'm into it. So,
So fucking weird, man.
still one of the wildest bars I've ever heard in a movie. Anyways.
Yeah, it was a cipher. It wasn't a line. It was a cipher.
Yeah. I mean, right from the off, there's a spider demon stealing some dude's semen. And she's scheming.
Spider demon stealing semen.
All that.
There we go.
All that. So, yeah, perhaps.
There is a sub-process in my brain dedicated at all times to seeing ways that I can sort of sing out the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Just like 1% of my brain is dedicated to that literally at all times.
Good.
Yeah. And I will say this, dear listener, as well. This movie is perhaps the closest you could be to a hentai without being a hentai.
Probably.
I feel like it kind of is, though. Like, what are the criteria? I must know.
I think literally because you don't see any kind of like male genitalia or penetration. It's implied penetration,
Well,
but never
no,
shown.
there's definitely penetration.
No, there is
But we don't
penetration,
It's
but it's
damn
implied.
We get the fucking tentacle going into
I know,
Makie's mouth.
but
bro.
that's not genitalia.
That's
bro.
not implied. That's fucking in there.
That's where the whole octopus thing comes from in Japan, because it's not like
Oh, I'm hit. You
Tentacles?
don't gotta give me the lore
Hey.
dump. Trust me.
That was the scene that put it into hentai territory for me. Like up until that point, I was like, oh, I don't know, it's close. And then that happened, and yep.
Oh, here we are. Okay.
I feel like if a standard hentai is like 80% sense, sorry, if the standard hentai is like
Yes, 80%.
is 80% sex and then 20% plot, this is maybe 60 and 40. So
I think it's even less because there's like fucking no world building at all. It's just like you get the premise at the front. It's like, hey, we have this human demon UN thing, and also there's fucking enjoy.
yeah. Now, I want to ask, and let's take it back from all the horny talk. Let's be more wholesome. Is there a moral to this story, guys? Maybe we're not so different after all, and we can all get along.
I don't really know that there is much in terms of a salient theme or anything other than like maybe love conquers the world. But like, I don't think that's what we're going for.
I'll take that. Dan?
No, I got nothing. I mean, I guess the similar to Nico's, the one that I think is the most obvious is just like, and Justin kind of alluded to it, but just bringing two peoples together, you know, having a kid and joining the different cultures or different peoples together. But aside from that, I got nothing, man.
I will say, IMO, the moral of this story is to wrap it up. Because
What?
if Taki, yeah, you heard me, wrap it up.
But then they wouldn't have had the kid to save
No.
the world and all of that.
Not with him and Makie, but at the very beginning with the spider demon woman, the only reason all this happened is because she stole his semen, analyzed it, and they came back with the DNA results to find that he and Makie were compatible and could have a kid together, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sure, yeah.
And if he had wrapped it up, then, you know, she couldn't have stolen it like that, bro.
Bro, you're telling me?
Pretty sure she could have.
Yeah, absolutely. She could have like yoinked
I
that
mean,
condom.
I know you don't play that way, but I'm just saying.
Hey, I'll say this. I'm just being facetious. See, this movie proves the point you shouldn't, because how they saved the world, Nico, as you said, he nutted and she got pregnant in 5 minutes. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm pretty sure it was Dan who said that, but let's just, yeah, that's fine.
All right, there we go. Now let's talk about an actual plot point. Giuseppe's plan.
You motherfucker.
Giuseppe was some real big brain shit here, dear audience. If you fell asleep during the synopsis, here's the breakdown. Giuseppe was supposed to be protecting Makie and Taki because they were like the chosen couple. But they had to do two things. First, they had to get the two of them to bond. And secondly, they had to keep the two of them alive because the radicals were trying to kill them. So Giuseppe decided that he was going to pose as essentially a VIP that the two of them would have to protect because then they could bond over him. Was that a good plan? And do you think it worked?
I mean, they fucked, so I guess it worked.
Yeah, I think it worked. I think it was mostly a good plan, except for the whole part when Giuseppe just lets Taki go to pseudo demon world place thing all by himself and then literally die.
Yeah.
I mean, in the end, it turned out okay because Giuseppe can just like big brain people back to life, I guess. But I mean, I feel like that was a pretty risky part of the plan there. That was kind of unnecessary. Aside from that, it's a good plan.
You know what I think, actually? The soapland demon, I think Giuseppe actually got hurt by the soapland demon.
Mm.
Because I don't think he would have let Makie get captured otherwise. Because we see that he's over there like tweaking out, like he's going into convulsions and shit. And he does manage to shoot a lightning bolt to save Makie from the demon we will not describe on this podcast. But aside from that, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it was way too big brain, and instead they probably should just put them together on a different assignment. I don't know. Like maybe have the two of them and Giuseppe guard someone else so Giuseppe could still be a bodyguard. Because he just walks in and does work, and you realize he could have killed all the demons by himself.
Yeah.
Easily.
And speaking of, Taki's a human, right, guys? I just asked this because at certain points in the show, Taki just says fuck it and starts punching holes in people. Like straight up demons.
Like, he Falcon punches his way through a dude's skull, and there's like shock waves coming from his, like, the crater that was their head. So, like, it's kind of hard for me to believe that he is at any point in any danger whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like, he's kind of overpowered as fuck, I'm not gonna lie, to the point that I don't really think he even needed Makie that much. And like the power level discrepancy between the two of them is like, I don't know, I feel a little inconsistent because she's made out to be this like, oh, she's a badass from the other side and we had to bring her in for one last job. And then like she gets captured almost instantly on this time halted chaos control highway bullshit nonsense.
It really is, though. I thought
Chaos control.
when she was like, someone's reflipping the time vortex, and I was like, chaos control. And then just, I don't know, it happens, I guess.
Yeah, so that was one of my issues there, but like, I almost, this is another thing, like, it's a pretty quick movie. I wish there was like maybe 10 or 15 minutes more so that we could see Makie being like a fucking badass.
It would have just been porn.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have.
You're probably right.
I'm thinking of Makie's accomplishments in this, and it was at the very beginning, she saves Taki's life.
Yeah.
Because there's a demon that Taki thinks he's killed, but he really hasn't, and she kills the demon again, saving him. And you would think Taki would learn that lesson, but he doesn't, which causes the final boss to come back.
No, they straight up stole from John Carpenter's The Thing with that one shot with the head coming out where it was like the little fucking spider limbs. I'm like, okay, show your work. I get it.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, she then fights the one dude, fights in quotes, because we know what happens before that. And then she wraps her hair around him.
Yeah.
And then they escape. But
we have Bayonetta at home.
yeah. Pretty much. Dan, I want to ask about Giuseppe. Is he human? Because he's got a lot of powers, bro.
There's no way he's human, bro. This dude is like 200 years old. Has lightning powers, big brains people's bodies back together. There is no way this dude is human.
He's just psychic.
Ah, right.
While you were studying the blade, he went to the library.
No, I think he went to the brothel, and that's the true answer, because
that's the moral.
I don't know what's going on there. And lastly, Nico, are the demons OP or no?
That's the thing, I don't fucking know, because, like, they got this one dude that transforms into this, like, onyx obelisk and shoots people with these, like, bone spears out of his elbow, and, like, that's pretty fucking cool, all for it to be like, haha, you see, I aligned the gun's barrel right at the right time so that I could shoot a bullet into his mouth, haha, and then he's just, like, ethered. But then he, like, recombines himself, so I don't know!
Ironically, Yusuke Urameshi does the same thing in Yu Yu Hakusho.
He sure fucking does.
Mm-hmm. Bro, Taki is like a combo of Yu Yu Hakusho and fucking Saitama, bro.
He's Saitama if Saitama got bitches.
Yeah.
And a gun.
And a
love-
gun, yes.
He's got a cat.
I love how in the beginning the bartender's talking to Taki and he's like, Taki, I got a question. Yeah. How are you so goddamn good looking? You drink like a boss and you stack bitches, bro. Explain that one to me. And then he's just like, I don't know, but wait, my date's coming out from the bathroom right now. I'm like, what? And the bartender's like, oh man, there goes my $10,000 right as she walks up. And she's like, what?
What a fucking thing to say, by the way.
Yeah.
And then in front, he's like, hey, I'll take that bet again. Oh, you're on. And they like predator shake right in front of her.
Like, bro, what the fuck?
He's like, listen, I'm going to take her back, seal the deal, but I'll be back tomorrow to bag another bitch. You know how I do. And he's like, yeah, you're right about that. I don't know. Wild times. But, and another relevant and somewhat educational thread.
Oh, no.
So this one was written by Hideaki Kikuchi, and it was directed by Yoshiaki Kawajiri. If you recognize Hideaki Kikuchi, that's because he did Vampire Hunter D. He wrote all that stuff. He also wrote a lesser-known thing called Demon City Shinjuku, which you may or may not review for the podcast. And Yoshiaki Kawajiri animated stuff with Kikuchi, so he did, and directed, so he did Bloodlust, which you know we love on the podcast. And I want to ask, are there any similarities that you see, given that it's the same kind of team almost, between this and maybe Vampire Hunter D and stuff? Are there any similarities that you see? And I'll open. When Makie attacks, I swear it's D. Like the way, there's one attack she does in particular with her nails, where she slices the screen straight downwards.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty fucking sweet.
And she approaches head on. They do that exact shot, like piece for piece, with Vampire Hunter D.
There are a couple shots where her skin is pale as the moonlight.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, exactly.
All we need is some time bewitching incense.
Time bewitching
incense. No, it can't be.
Yeah, I mean, this movie is very much in the same vein, and we mentioned this earlier, as Ninja Scroll, as Demon City Shinjuku, Bloodlust, like
Cyber City 080.
Yeah.
like all of those this is right up there with them. So if you've seen any of those, you kind of know what to expect, not necessarily like plot wise, but in terms of like the looks, the animation, everything about it. And also the whole, just let shit happen. Like things are just going to happen in this movie and just accept it.
Yep, for sure. Just don't watch this with most other human beings. I'll put it like that.
Fun fact, Justin watched this with his mother.
For the second time.
To be fair, she was only there for like the first little bit this time around.
Oh, so still just like completely replete with out-of-pocket shots. Got it.
Yeah.
Oh, those shots are pretty in pocket.
Now,
Damn.
I just want to ask, do you guys have a favorite quote or scene from this movie?
No. Any scene. I mean, considering 80% of this movie is sex scenes. No.
Yeah, I don't know, the part with the yeah, I'm really struggling to think of parts where they're not just like straight fucking.
All right. So my favorite scene is not quite that, but it's close. It's the scene where Giuseppe's in the soapland and the chick's giving him a little tug, and she goes, "Oh my God, you're like a senior citizen, but you're so massive." And he's just like, "Well, you know what? I learned over time.
Gotta keep up with the youngins."
Yeah, gotta keep my head up." And I'm like, "Really, bro? It's like that?" Such is the legend of Giuseppe, I guess. But yeah, tough times. So, time for a what would you do? And
Probably the spider lady.
yeah,
Probably a lot of ladies in this.
okay, fair enough. So let me ask this. If there was an organization, let's just call it the Blackguard, because I think that's pretty much what it is.
Organization 13.
Hey,
Bro, Kingdom Hearts would be a very different game.
Sora, Donald, and Goofy go to this fucking world. Gore, Sora?
Sora!
It's like, hey, Taki. Yeah? You really should tell Makie how you feel. Why's that, Sora? Because otherwise you could turn into a Heartless. Sora, there's a goddamn vagina demon trying to break into my mind. I'm not going to turn to a fucking Heartless, you child. Now leave.
Improbable.
All that.
Bro, sometimes the dialogue in this movie was kind of like that, though. Like, the part in the beginning of the movie where Taki's, like, getting dome from the spider demon, he has a brief moment when she, like, unzips his pants where he, like, almost monologues to himself.
Oh,
and he's
yeah.
like, oh, yes, what an improbable turn of events. Well, if she's going to be like this, then I guess my luck is in for quite a change. Oh.
Yo, literally, it zooms in on his face so we see his, like, facial emotions.
He's, like,
as
fucking pondering.
Yeah, and he's like, what a turn of, as Nico said, what a turn of events. We were just in the bar. She was such a quiet lass, and now she's here, blowing my dick. Well, I can't say I'm mad. And I'm just like, yo, calm down. This is a horror podcast, right?
Is this horror or is this just hentai?
I have
Both.
been, cards on the table, I have been personally recommended this a number of times by various people, both as just like a fan of 80s anime and also in the context, hey, you guys should do this for your podcast. And I guess they really wanted to hear us talk about a whole lot of fucking, huh, lads?
We did this one for the streets, and look how the streets did us. Okay, we trusted you, dear listener, and look what happened now. Anyways, my what would you do is pretty simple.
So cold in the deep.
Oh no.
Anyways, my what would you do is pretty simple. Here it goes. If the Blackguard was a real organization, let's say we're in this world, what job would you like to hold in such an organization that was like doing peace negotiations and bodyguard work?
Soapland.
I don't know what to think of. I don't know what to say. Dan?
That's my response.
Okay, I was trying to take this serious. I would have been a detective, maybe. All right, I'm done. Let's go ahead and take it to the critic review. We're doing this off of my anime list because they're the only degenerates who know about this like that. Where do you guys think this ranks on my anime list?
Bro, I have no fucking idea. I feel like this could be equally, like, super high and also super low. I'm gonna guess somewhat middle of the road, like a 62?
I was going to say 68.
So it's funny you guys say that because believe it or not, it's a draw.
Nani?
My anime list has it at 65.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
64.5, round up 65.
That's the
which we
first
do.
time we've ever had a draw. That's interesting.
I think so.
Honors are equal here today. But I want to get your thoughts. Give me a score, 1 to 100. Where's it at for you?
I'm going to give it a 65. I think it was good. I don't mind some of the hentai-ness of it, but I would like a lot less of it, personally. So I think that would make it a lot better. But just, I'm generally a fan of anime and 80s anime and Ninja Scroll, Vampire Hunter D, Bloodlust, a lot of those contemporaries of it. So this kind of was sort of mostly up my alley. So 65 for me.
Okay. Nico, where you at?
I'm gonna give this a 67. This is also kind of up my alley, and I also would have liked a lot less of the fucking. That's pretty much where I'm at.
Fucking prudes. No, I'm playing. I would put this at an 80. Now, I will say this.
Wow.
On the podcast, we joked around a lot about a lot of the sexual activity that goes on in this. And trust me, there's a lot of sex in this movie. But as we said at the start, there's also a ton of sexual assault that doesn't really sit well with a lot of viewers in this day and age, myself included. So because of that, I do have to docket some points. Otherwise, I mean, it's like they've said, right up my alley. In terms of the sex, it's kind of like whenever you watch an 80s anime, you expect to see some titty, right? You expect to see it.
Sure.
And it's almost kind of like, you know, when you go out to like a buffet or something like that and you eat like a cake, you're like, man, bro, I could eat this cake all fucking day. And then they're like, yeah, okay, sure, you can. And then you just like, I didn't want this much. I really didn't need this much, man. Like, I just wanted a little bit.
Kind of a phase are you going to, bro?
Don't worry about it. And that's kind of what this movie is in terms of the sexual content. Like, I didn't need all that. Just a little bit of titty and I'd have been fine. But, you know, in a way, it makes its point. And that was the artistic direction of it. That's what they chose to do. Okay, so be it. 80 for me. I'm a big fan of Hideyuki Kikuchi. He's one of my favorite authors ever. He did Vampire Hunter D. I would love to meet this dude before he croaks. So, God bless, stay alive so I can get to Japan, bro. But, yeah, that's where I'm at with that. So, would we recommend this movie?
Man, I think.
You out here slanging pornos, Dan?
I mean, yeah, totally. There's major asterisks on this, major ones. Just, yes, I would recommend it as long as you know what you're getting into. If you've made it this far in the podcast to be able to listen to our recommendations or not, then you already know what's up with this movie. So if you're okay with it, go for it. I recommend it. If you're not, obviously, then don't.
Man, like, I'm trying to picture just like random person on the street, like, hey, do you like horror? Sure, yeah, I like horror. Well, then, how do you feel about fucking? Because, like, there's a whole lot of it, brother. Like, a whole lot. I want to recommend this, but I almost feel like I need to take a cold shower or something. So I will also put a massive asterisk. I do recommend this, but do not go in blind.
Along with my fellow co-hosts, I recommend this with the asterisk that you know what you're getting into with it. And I'm not going to lie. I was probably like...
Oh, no.
I don't know.
This is about to be really bad.
No, I was
I don't want to hear what's coming next.
I don't want to know how old you were when you first saw this, bro.
Well, no, I was probably, I would estimate, probably like 18, 19 when I first saw this.
Thank God.
And I remember when, you know, like younger Justin was getting into anime, and I had only ever seen stuff, you know, like Gundam Wing, Dragon Ball Z, Tsunami, essentially. That was everyone my age's introduction into anime. And then my cousin was like, hey, you ever heard of Ninja Scroll? And kind of got a little scarred from a certain scene that I'm not going to mention. But
Ninja Scroll is tame compared to this.
In terms of the sexuality, yes.
Sexually, yes. Violence, no.
Definitely not with the violence, no.
Yeah. And that's kind of my thing is like, you just got to be ready. And if you're ready, you'll be able to enjoy it. But if you're not, if that's not for you, then it's not for you. And you should not partake. That's my takeaway. So we do recommend with that massive asterisk. I'm going to say not Golden Seal, probably.
No.
Probably not.
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, I wouldn't have given it that either. So there you have it, dear listener. But we want to hear from you. Have any of you seen it? Do you like it? Do you watch it on the regular, special Friday night? If you do, let us know. We're on social media.
No, don't let us know.
Please don't.
If that's what you do. I'm okay. You can keep that one to yourself.
I don't want to know about your special Friday nights.
We're on X and Instagram at DOTD Horror. We're also on Facebook. That's Don't Open That Door. Check everything we've done on our website, dotdhorror.com. And please, if you like what you've heard or don't like, still give us a good review because it helps us spread the word, right? So maybe you're just a generous villain. I don't know. Till next time, look out for one another.
Wrap it up.
Or don't.
Justin.
And as always, dear listener, don't open that door. Bye.